So what we're going to go through is really the bare minimum things that you need to start a business, whether it's online or offline, the digital tools that are going to be very helpful for you to use for your business, to start your business. I'm not looking at things that are going to cost you a lot of money. In most cases, these tools are free. So I'm going to show you how to use them in the most basic way. And the idea is that if you like any of those tools and you want to be able to find out more about them, you can book myself or one of our amazing digital solutions advisors to take you into more detail with those systems. And these ones largely do have quite a few of us who work with them. So we've got a lot of people jumping in tonight. The Q&A is open, the chat is open, so feel free to ask questions in there. If you're on Zoom tonight and you're live, fantastic. If you're watching this on YouTube after the event, hey, it's great too, because you'll be able to post questions in the comments below and make sure that we'll keep an eye on those comments so we can answer them for you. And also make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified when new things come through on our YouTube channels, whether it's my one, the Dante St. James, or the one for Business Station. Please take advantage of those channels. They contain literally hundreds of amazing pieces of information that you're not really going to get too many other places, at least not for free. Enough of my yabbering on. It's time to share the screen and get us started. Let's see what we can learn and what tools we can find that are going to be helpful for your small business. First of all, a quote from Albert Hubbard in 1913 said, "We are moving so fast that when plans are being made to perform some great feat, these plans are broken into by a youth who enters and says, I have done it." Which is basically saying, well, you and I, because we're not kids anymore, I'm assuming none of us are kids anymore in here. While you and I are not kids anymore, we tend to overthink everything. We overthink how to start a business. We overthink how to work with other people. We overthink how to work with people to do things like setting up a business or the tools we're going to use. But kids, they come in basically and say, yeah, it's done. They find the easiest way. And sometimes the laziness of Generation Z is the best thing they can do because they find the most automated, easy way around doing things rather than you and I finding the very long, laborious way around things. What we're going to look at today is getting a website. So we'll look at the free tools that'll help you with that. We're going to look at how to get yourself on Google, the free tools that are available for that. Getting on social media, most of those you're going to be kind of familiar with, but we'll revisit some of the reasons why you may use some social platforms over others. We're going to look at working with clients using Hubspot as the free tool. We're going to look in there. So if you've never really looked at that before, I'm going to take you on a tour of my Hubspot. I have some paid features, so I'll just concentrate on the things that you do get for free. And we'll look at getting work done through tools like Trello, which allow us to track work from it coming in to then being done and completed and passed out to the completion stage of a project with your client. A bit about me. If you haven't come across me before, I do see some pretty familiar faces in there, but there's a bunch of you I haven't seen before, so welcome aboard. I'm a Meta certified lead trainer with Facebook Australia. That's now called Meta Australia. So I'm one of 5 of those in Australia. So I'm very, very well versed in the world of Facebook and Instagram, that means. I also am the owner of the license for LinkedIn Local Darwin and Alice Springs, where we host regular networking functions. I've started a business called Startup Territory this year, which is all about getting startup businesses the information they need to start their journey into creating those big ideas, not just opening up a business, but the big ideas of things that are going to change the world, big apps, big ideas, big new businesses that require investment, that sort of thing. I work at Google's Digital Springboard program, the Digital Solutions program, the that's a big word, Entrepreneurship Facilitators program, and my digital agency that's now pivoting into a training agency called Clickstarter. So I've been working in this digital space since 1996 when I created my first HTML website. Just before that, in 1995, I was actually chatting on what were called online bulletin boards, which are the precursor for online chat as we know it today. So it's certainly a space I've been in a long time, and I absolutely love it. I'm definitely an early adopter of technology and someone who is not going to sit there and tell you about the evils of technology. I'm always focusing on the benefits and the things that really change our lives and move the needle to allow us to just be, to be able to use these incredible tools that are from the space age, but we can use them right here in the present in our own time. And I think that's a marvelous thing to take advantage of. So first of all, we're going to look at the idea of getting a website. Now, getting a website tends to be linked to, oh, that's $15,000 I got to find, or I've got to learn how to use WordPress, and you get really stuck on all that. And it's always about a balance of going, well, how much time do I have to do this myself? Because if I'm not going to pay for it, I'm going to pay for it in time. I'm going to spend a whole lot of time learning how to do WordPress. I was on a call just before this, actually, with a client that I work with on the digital solutions program. And she came to me and said, basically, I've been spending 6 months trying to build a website. It's a hot mess. I don't know what I'm doing. I've watched so many hours of YouTube videos. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help. And so now, as part of this program, we're able to get her 3 hours of my time to help her unravel that. And at the end of the 3 hours, she'll have a working website, because she actually wasn't that far off. She just needed someone to help tidy it up for her in the end. But if it's not time you're going to spend, it's obviously going to be money. And so how much money have you got to up front to spend on a website? Now, if you're just if not just a service business, but if you're a consultant, you just may need a few pages that explain what it is you do, who you are, a bit of a home on the internet, place where you can embed a booking service like Calendly or something like that. And that's pretty much all you're going to need. You don't need to be forking out $5,000, but I can tell you, even in my town, there's probably about 20 providers who are more than happy to charge you $5,000 for the privilege of doing that. What we're going to look at is the way of making a website that looks attractive, works really well, is able to be managed by you, changed by you, updated by you, and is not going to cost you anything short of buying a domain name. For the uninitiated, a domain name is your web address. So your business.com.au, that thing, that's the only cost that's going to come in there. And I know that I buy those things in bulk for about $9 a year for a .com.au. So they're not an expensive thing to do. When you're then having to pay a web designer, and then they want, $75 to $150 a month for you just to do changes, that stuff adds up really, really quickly. And the other thing is too, that you need to be able to build a site which is going to grow with you. So if you get bigger, it gets bigger with you too. What I always do with people start small is go for the thing you can do for free. That's not going to cost you a lot of time and money. That then when you get big enough that you need something new, then you just go over to a big WordPress site or a big Joomla site, or to go really deep in Wix and Squarespace to something really quite impressive. But when you're first starting out, you don't need any of that. You don't need fancy. You need function. You need the ability for people to be able to find you, see your services, be able to judge whether they really want to work with you, contact you, book you, and that's pretty much about it. Now, the second website system we're going to look at is called Big Cartel, and that's all about e-commerce. And I'm going to show you how we can set up an e-commerce site in about 10 minutes. It sounds too good to be true. The other too good to be true on it is it's free. So I'm going to show you how to work with that as well. So as we move on, we look at the two website platforms we're looking at. Google Sites, it's a free platform. It's very limited, but it's super simple to set up, and it can add your domain onto it as well. So we're going to build a Google site from scratch, and they're free with a Google account. So you just need a Gmail address pretty much. You've got access to Google Sites. And then the second one is, Big Cartel, free to use for up to 5 items and allows you to have a custom domain. So first up, let's look at Google Sites. I'm going to have to go into my Google Sites. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. So in Google Sites, we can see that I've gone in, I've created some in the past that I've helped up people with and done a few example sites. This first one is, I'm just going to go in and say blank, or I can look at the templates that are there. So let's look, there's a few templates for the kinds of businesses you might already have: a help center, a project, a team, an event, a portfolio of photos even that you can create there. For small businesses, they've got some examples of dog walkers, photo portfolios, restaurants and salons, down to clubs and students and classes. So we could choose one of those, but I think we're going to create one from scratch, because we don't really need to use a template in here, because basically everything in the templates can be recreated ourselves from a blank beginning. So here's our blank page, our first page in Google Sites. Now you go there, if you can read the small text there, at sites.google.com. I'm just going to type that into the chat window, sites.google.com. If you've got a Google site, you'll be able to then go ahead with that. Now your Google site, you can name it. So I'm going to name this one. Let's make a site for, I'm going to make it for a coffee van. So I'm kind of at that time of the day where I probably could use a coffee, but I also know if I have one now, it's going to keep me awake. So we're going to call it Dan's Coffee Van. So I put that in the top there. Now that is the head. That's not part of the website. That's the name of it. But notice how it's going to insert that in there. Now in the top here, I can either use those words or I can add a logo. Dan doesn't have a logo yet. It's a brand new business. He hasn't gone. He can't afford to go get a logo made. He hasn't even learned about Fiverr and what that is, or Canva and the tools you can use to go and build your own. So he's just going to go Dan's Coffee Van. In here, we're going to put what the basic message about his service is. So it's a coffee van that turns up to events and sports events. So it says barista coffee at your event. That's the basic message about Dan's Coffee Van. Now, of course, this sort of blackish background there is a little bit boring. There's not really a lot going on there. We want to change. So as I hover that, notice I've got change image come up. I'm going to upload an image. I don't have an image of coffee. So is there stock images? Sure is. Select image. And you can search on Google. Like you can either go through the ones that are already included. I'm not seeing too much in way in the coffee there. Or I can go by search and search for coffee. So there, we've got some coffee background, some coffee beans, some cups, all sorts of things. That's a really cool little, like a wallpaper of coffee there. So I'm going to pick out that one. Now, these are royalty-free images that you can search that Google's found. They've already been vetted by Google as royalty-free, and you can use them on your website without fear. So I'm going to insert that coffee wallpaper in there. And it's already adjusting for readability. That little magic thing in there was basically reducing the color depth of that background so you can still read what's going on here. Now, to me, that really, really thin writing is a bit annoying. I want to get it a bit thicker so it's a little bit more easy to read. That's a bit better. I can remove that readability. See how it's not really that clear to read. So I adjust for readability and then it immediately makes it a lot easier to read. So a website's not just built from a title alone. We need to add content. So over on the right here, we've got all the different options we have for the kinds of content we can add. We can add docs from Google Docs, slides, like slideshows. We can add sheets, which are like Excel spreadsheets, a form, which is pretty handy if you want to have like a contact form that people fill out. You can add charts that have got information in them, YouTube videos, a calendar from your Google Calendar so people can see when you're available, a map to show where you are. But I think to begin with, probably what we're going to start with first is maybe an image carousel. We're going to put a carousel of images in that has to have at least 2 in it. So I'm just going to search for, again, images of coffee. Now, I'm not going to go to my drive. I want to go to something that's like outside of where I'm doing. So I'm going to Google Images and I'm going to search for, nope, photos. No, not my photos, Google Images. That's not working at the moment. It usually does though. You can usually put your own in there. So I don't have any coffee photos handy, so I'm not going to put in a carousel, but what I will do is go, okay, let's put in a layout. The content blocks over on the right. We've got shapes of combinations of images and text. So I might grab this one here. I drop it into place and then there it is. So I now fill in. So we can say coffee for school fates, coffee for festivals, and coffee for sports events. So we're giving an idea of the kind of coffee that Dan's Coffee Van can go to. Now we can insert pictures of Dan's coffee vans at these kind of places, or we can just slot in an image. So we're going to select an image again from the internet. So hopefully this will work for us this time. Waiting. Taking its sweet time. I think I'm using up a lot of bandwidth at the moment. So Google Images. Come on. No, it's just not working for me there. So I can then go through some pictures of things I've already got. So for instance, let's pretend that this photo inside Big W is somehow relevant to the coffee for school fates. I'll add another one in. So upload. Select an image, again from my drive. Isn't it amazing when you do a live demo? Things like this worked earlier today, don't work tonight. So we go through my recents in the drive again. We might add a picture of this little plant in there. You'll notice something that's happening with these images too. Notice how I don't have to resize them. They're resizing themselves to fit that space. So it doesn't matter what shape they are, they will fit themselves into the width of that space so that you'll have nice, even images as you're going across. So you don't have to then go and do image resizes and all that sort of thing. I might try and get something that's a bit taller, perhaps. Maybe the shirts in a big W. There we go. So if I double click on these, I can move the images around. See how that's taller than the space? So if I wanted to get less height and more of the floor, I can then have it show more of the lower part of it. Same with the big W one. I might want to show more ceiling or more floor. I can adjust those. And the same with this one, a little bit more of the restaurant with the basil in it. And then I can add in more information. So we can add in more text there to explain about that, or we can throw in things like buttons. So I can throw a button in there, grab my button, oops, pick it up, drag it over. Come on, in you go, buddy. Live demonstrations, always a hassle. So let's just go phone us and put maybe a link to the contact page. Just let me put in any sort of link there for the mail. So I can put that in, stretch it out so it fills the gap that I want it to. So I have nice even lines, and then I can just duplicate that one for another button, which I'm now going to draw up in here, put it up next to it. So I don't need it to be that wide. I definitely don't want it to be that wide. So I need to make this one a little thinner. So everything's going to muck up on me today and not work the way I want it to. So this usually works like flawlessly for me. So what it allows you to do basically is build that page. Now, let's just say I've finished that page. I want another page, hit pages, go number one and go contact. So I'm going to build a contact page now. Let's hope this works. I'm going to thicken up my contact there a bit. If I want to change that image, I can change it to be a smaller header. I just want, maybe like just the title, or I just want a banner that size, or the large banner, or something that really covers the whole page. For me, just a banner's fine. And then I can then insert what I want in there. So the first thing I want to put in there is maybe an image and my details. Available by appointment. Put in the phone number. 10. Put in random numbers, maybe email address. And then I can insert maybe a picture of Dan's van in there, although we're not having much luck with pictures today. So what I'll do instead, let's see if we can pick up one. So we'll look for selecting an image. Let's see if it works for me now. Moving. How about we just search for coffee? I think I'm using a lot of bandwidth on here today, just with transmitting photos and videos. So it's just take a little bit of it. So here we go, coffee club stuff. We've got taste the coffee. We've got pictures of coffee cups, coffee club logos. I don't think you'd really like that if he's, but let's insert a voucher or something there. And then if we want to put maybe a map of where he's located to show the area that he serves, we can go down the right-hand side and throw in a map there as well. So we add in another row, maybe in doubling this, take out the image, take out this, so I can just keep the row. I just still want the content. I'd still want the space. I just don't want the content in there anymore. And get my map. And then where's the map location I want? Let's just make it Gold Coast, Queensland. So let's just say it's on the Gold Coast. We insert the map. There you go. So it's showing the area that he serves is the Gold Coast in Queensland. So immediately we've got a website, essentially a home page and a contact page. And once we go to publish that, what it will do is give you a Google Sites address. So if I go to publish this, it's immediately going to tell me that this is going to be the address. It's sites.google.com/view/Dan's-coffee-van. You want pretty much danscoffeevan.com.au. So you can actually insert a custom domain in there. So I go to these to the settings at the top, little gears, and it have custom domains, and I can go through the process of either purchasing a domain name or attaching one that I already own, and it gives you the step-by-step instructions of how to do that. You can throw in your Google Analytics if you want to follow what you're doing as well. We can do that. And we can even, change things about the navigation at the top. At the moment, it's transparent, but I want it to be black. See how it now has a black bar on the top, or it could be a white bar at the top, whatever you really want. So now we've shown you probably the easiest way to build a website. I'm now going to show you the easiest way to build an e-commerce website. So an e-commerce website selling physical products, or in this case, it might be even the services that you're selling. This product called Big Cartel was made for people who don't want to pay the big Etsy fees or Amazon fees. They may only have a small amount of things, maybe 5 different items that they sell online. And of those 5 different items they sell online, they may go, okay, well, I don't really want to be paying $79 a month on Shopify just to be able to sell a few things that I'm going to sell. Like, I'm not going to sell much. I'm just going to sell a little bit. So Big Cartel gives you a free account that allows you up to 5 items to sell. You can connect it through to your existing PayPal or Stripe payment processor. So you can apply for those separately and turn maybe your PayPal address into a merchant account. And small amounts of payments can go through that without there being horrendous fees. So there's no fee to be going through Big Cartel. It's just the fee that either PayPal or Stripe or both will set up for you. You can set up your shipping profiles if you want to get the person's information and add flat rates for shipping, or perhaps some estimate rates for shipping. You can launch all that there. And there's a certain amount of design you can do in here as well. What sets this apart, though, from a lot of the other online store systems you can use is a Big Cartel allows you to add your domain name to this for no cost. So you think, well, how in the heck do these people make money? They make money when you grow. So when you grow and you add, you go from 5 products to 50 products, that's when you start paying. And the payment, it starts at about $9 a month. So it's a really low cost alternative to the big Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, WordPress kind of setups, and way cheaper than things like Squarespace and Wix when it comes to online stores. They sort of go from that $39 upwards per month to set up an online store. So we would start by not so much designing the shop. We can start with this checklist and go, okay, my little shop I'm calling Dante's World, I'm going to add a product. So as I add a product, it goes, okay, what do you want to add? You can either import a list from a CSV, or what I might do is just add the product. So what is my product? It's going to be called tradie shirts, because I know I've got photos of those easily to be able to get. So the description, you can go yellow, orange, and all the bright high vis, excuse me, colors you need. I can create categories for that. So I haven't got any categories yet. So what I might put is a category of clothing. I've added that category. I can add another one, which is maybe accessories. Done. Save. Take out that one. I don't need that final one. Or maybe I'll do one more. I'll make homeware. So I'll save my 3 categories of the different things I'm going to sell. And it's going to ask me now to put a category against this one. So at the moment it's saying, okay, I'm putting into all those. I don't want all those. I just want it to be under clothing. There we go. It's already activated the product. Now I can put in a price. I'm going to put $23. But we have options. This is where you do your sizes. So someone can order a size. So you can go, okay, for $23 might be small, medium, large, maybe XL. But then when we start getting to the 2XL, we might want to go to $24. So go out slightly more. So you can set all these different variables in there for this. So if you're thinking, oh, but I've got different sizes, I'm gonna outdo the 5 items. It's okay if it's one kind of thing. Even if it's got the sizes or colors, you can add those as these options. So you add in your options and you go, well, they're in sizes. Then you can do, well, small orange, small pink, small purple, whatever the colors are. So you can split them all up so people can then select what their option is. Shipping, then you can go, well, what I'm going to do is within Australia, I'm going to, on its own, it's going to cost me about $8 to send it on its own. But if you order more than one, then per shirt, it's only going to be an extra $2 because the weight isn't that great. Or you can set up, more complicated shipping. There's shipping inputs you can put in there from Australia Post and that, which help you to calculate that better. We don't have a US tax code, so we're going to go save. Now, what we can do is add photos. We haven't done that yet. So let's add some photos. I had that lovely photos of the Google Drive. So let's go to Drive. Or I'll just go and look for some photos. High vis. I'm just going to steal some photos from the internet. There we go. So we'll just steal this lovely example of tradie fashion. So we'll take that one. I'm going to save it out. And then I'm going to load that up into my big Cartel store. So we've got to add an image. Boom, in it goes. You can then add a second image. Only 2 images that you can add for the free service. So I could put a second one in there. I'm just going to go with that one. So now I've got a product. My product was updated. I now have a product in my store. This may be the only product I want to sell right now. So for the saving time, what I'm going to do is now go back to my dashboard where it's going to give me my getting started checklist. I can create my shipping profiles, but I'm pretty happy with a flat rate at the moment. I can connect my payment processor. Can't really do that right now. Otherwise, I'll be setting up a new PayPal account for that. But I can design my shop. So in my shop, it's going, okay, that's the address I want, Dante's World at bigcartel.com. So you're getting something which is kind of like a bit of a domain. You can add a custom domain and it won't cost you. So I can either buy a domain or own a domain and connect it through. For now, I'm just happy with dantesworld.bigcartel.com. I don't really feel the need for it. I can choose a design. So I can go in and design a shop already. So what it's going to do is insert my first product in there on a page. Now that doesn't look particularly like, fun or amazing as a web page. So I can go into my themes and then look for a theme that sort of looks more like I want to do, like roadie. Let's see what roadie has. And I might create a different layout that looks a little bit, that looks a bit better. That's looking cooler. So imagine if I had more products along there, it would show those products. Or I might go for something even more like a really artsy kind of theme. Let's create an artsy theme. So there's a ton of themes in there that are included for free. You don't have to go to a lot of hard depth to be able to understand how this works. So as you go through a theme that really works for you, I really kind of liked, this one's nice, a bit of a layout. This might be good for artists if you're selling art. Might be a layout that looks like it's a bit more casual, and you can add more color in there as you add more products. If I go in here now to the tradie shirt, it shows me now what we've created before, selecting those options, small, medium, large, through to 3XL. So you can see how that works. I can add one from extra large to cart, add it to cart, and now it goes into the cart. So I've added 2 items up here, and then my cart, I can then see what it is I'm now going. Now I can't go through there because I haven't published the site yet, but so you get the idea of this is how you build your new site. So let's go back to our dashboard again. So we've now designed our shop. Then we can go and launch it and be ready to go live. So essentially I've added a product. I haven't yet connected a payment processor, but if you already got PayPal or Stripe or something like that, you just connect them through or just go and create a new account with them. The only length of time things that might happen is you might have to go through an approval process through either PayPal or Stripe. In most cases though, if you've got a PayPal account already, you can convert it to a business account, which allows you to receive payments through a shop really, really quickly as well. So that will really make it a whole lot quicker to create a shop. Now, if you're not trying to set the world on fire and create a whole new concept of design and fashion that the others haven't seen before, this is a great start. You might already have a website, but you want to add a shop to it. This is a great way of adding a shop for free. That's not going to cost you a heap of time and money. We essentially went through and created a design for a shop with a product in it, all within 10 minutes. So it's one of those things where you could spend a lifetime learning how Shopify works, a lifetime learning how WooCommerce works on a WordPress website, or how another shop works, say, on a Joomla website. Or you can just go and get this free guy. Do this free guy, set it up, have your basics in there, and when you get bigger and you've got lots of stuff going on, you're putting on stuff, diversify into something bigger then. You could build a marketplace in here of selling other people's things if you want. But remember, this is a free shop, and it's one of the easiest to set up shops you'll have online. So you don't really necessarily want to go too complex here. This is for simple things, selling, simple programs of, you might be shipping a product. It's definitely made for products and not for services. When you're services and you're booking in time, I would suggest you use something like Calendly. So it's like calendar, but Calendly, L-Y at the end. And that's got a free option that allows you to take bookings for your time. You can pay extra to get a version that allows you to charge for that time at the time of booking, or you just, I mostly do is invoice people later on for the time which they've done. So that gives us a basic look at what the websites look like. So the websites are all probably one of the biggest headaches that small businesses will have, of how to build a website quickly, how to set it up quickly without paying thousands to people to do. But once you've got a website, you need to do something with that website out in the public, and that's where you need to get listed on Google. So the first thing, the bare minimum thing you need to do is work with Google My Business, or what is now called Google Business Profile. And it is changing a little. It's going to be a little bit easier to get yourself verified on there than what it was before. And it's getting they're simplifying a lot. So it's a lot simpler to use. There's three sort of layers of getting yourself on Google. There's Google My Business, which is the first, or Google Business Profile, the very first thing you're going to do, which is basically claiming your pin on a map. So you go to Google Maps, you look for where your business is located, and then you claim that address. If your business doesn't have a physical location and you're running, say, from your home, and you don't want people rocking up to your door and knocking on the door to buy your essential oils, then what we probably need to do is set yourself up on Google Business Profile as a service area, not as an address, but you service a certain area. That area could be Australia. That area could be more than one country. It could just be your local town. It could be Emerald in Central West Queensland, or it could be Mandurah, or it could be Gerringong in New South Wales, or Alice Springs in the Northern Territory. It doesn't matter what it is. You can set up that physically there and just set it as an area. So you can set postcodes, towns, kind of like a radius around the area where you live that you will service. Google Ads is a bit of a rabbit hole. You can pay a lot of money on Google Ads, or you can probably get away with not paying that much and still getting some results. I recently ran a Google Ads campaign that was costing me no more than about $10 a month. The reason for that was that I was running an ad for a search term that's not very popular, for a very specific niche thing that I know how to do that almost nobody else in Australia knows. There might be a couple of people that do, but I wanted to make sure on the few times that someone searches for that very niche, very specific system, that they found me, because I knew that they were they had a very high intent to buy a person who could do that for them. So in that case, I look at it and go, okay, here we go. There's the opportunity for us to go, right, we're going to search for that person, and if we find them, we're probably going to hire them because they're the only person around to talk to. So I advertised against that, and I got 3 jobs in the first month. Those 3 jobs added up to nearly $12,000 of revenue. I spent $10 in that month. So Google Ads can be that cheap when you're looking for things that are incredibly rare and niche. They can also be incredibly expensive when what you do is very common. Butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, plumbers, electricians, home builders, NLP practitioners, business coaches, lawyers. All those things are very, very common. There's chances are there's going to be another one in your town. So in the case of whatever your particular modality of a healing discipline that you're a part of, you may be the only person in town. I've worked with a kinesiologist in Darwin, and she's the only kinesiologist in Darwin. She was paying about $300 a month for ads on Google. I was like, why would you bother? You're the only one in town. You're already on the top of the Google results. You don't need to pay for these ads. So we saved her $350 a month in ads because she didn't need them. But you may find that you're actually needing the Google Ads to cut through and get some traffic because you are one of 50 different pest control operators in town, and you really need that extra push to get yourself further up. You won't get all the number ones on the top of the search results. We get some of them, enough of them for you to be considered when someone's looking for a pest control person. Now, the unpaid way of getting yourself on the Google is a process called SEO. You know, all those emails you keep getting in spam about people trying to get you on the top of the page of Google. I'll get you on the first page of Google. Just a hint, there's no such thing as a first page of Google. It's just one great big long page these days. So to get yourself towards the top of those things, there's people who will sell services called SEO. About 80% of SEO services and excuse me, pitches are a scam. And then another 20% of them have varying levels of success. I've done a lot of SEO myself. I've been wildly successful with some and not so successful with others. Where there's, for instance, you're selling e-commerce like fashion online, where you're in very highly competitive spaces, SEO is just a waste of time because the big guys, the big box retailers have pretty much sucked all the air out of the room. They've already done all that work. They're spending thousands per month, if not tens of thousands per month on this SEO stuff to get there, and potentially tens of thousands of dollars on Google ads to make sure they stay on top. So them, it might be worth $1 million a month for them to spend, say, $20,000 on ensuring that they're at the top of Google search results and also have Google ads getting them there. You and I, we don't have that luxury. We don't have the tens of thousands of dollars. So SEO is kind of a waste of time for many small businesses. The best thing you can do with SEO is basically get your Google business profile at business.google.com. I'm just going to type that into the chat window. So if you need to do it, I've got to make sure I spell it right first. There we go. That's in the chat window now. And you can start the journey towards setting up your Google business profile. It is free. It also has this great little feature that I won't take you too much into, but we will go into one. I'll show you how a Google business profile looks. Let's go in and actually have a look at that now. So I've already got set up to my list of businesses that I have. I've got many, many businesses listed all over the country that I help manage for other people. In this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a new business. Now, your interface will look different to this. But if I add this single business, this next page looks exactly like what it would look like normally. So I've set up a business yesterday called LinkedIn Local Darwin. So what I'm going to do is set up another one called LinkedIn Local Darwin. And it's going to say, okay, are you this other LinkedIn Local Darwin we already seen? So I got to be like networking. So business networking company. That's right. Do I have a location that people can visit? Well, in my case, I do. So I've got a location at my office, which is 1/662 Stewart Highway, Berrima in New South Wales, in Northern Territory. So there it is, 1/662 Stewart Highway. It pre-fills that all out. 0870 is definitely not, that's definitely not the one I'm looking for. Let's go down. 0828 is the one I'm looking for. So now it's got that, it's going to look at it and go, let me have a look at this. Are you one of these companies? Well, yeah, I am actually that one. I am located there, but that's not the business I'm putting in there. I'm putting another one. So I'm going to go next because I'm none of those. And do I provide deliveries of home or office visits? No, I don't. I've got to add in my contact details. So I'm going to put in my 1-800 number. 575-005. My current website URL, which is going to be, it's not there yet. So it'll probably, as soon as I verify, it's going to say, you don't have that address yet. And now it's going to go through the process of going, okay, does this exist? Are you someone who's already got things through there? We're going to call you to verify this through a code. Now, this is great because what they used to do is send postcards. They've now seen that you can't do the postcards. So you're not able to then so Andrew's saying you can't see the chats, but you just typed in the chat. So that might be that I am not typing it into everybody. That's what it is. Thanks, Andrew. I'm just going to recopy those chats in now so you can see those. Thank you for pointing that out. So there's sites.google.com, business.google.com. Thank you for pointing that out. So I'm not going to set this off now. I can actually send an email to an address that is at that domain name. So I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to verify that yet. This is just an example. And once you get in there, let's just say that you've been verified, all that's gone ahead. They've given you your code to put in and verify, which is so much better than the stupid postcard thing they used to do, which I live in the Northern Territory. Everything goes by a camelback to get here. So they say, oh, I should be there in 6 days, and 6 weeks later, I'm still waiting to get it. So it's definitely not a good thing. But if I look at, say, one of the ones I've already got, let's just say I look for ClickStarter, my main business. There we go. So under this one, in my profile, and you'll have a profile just like this now. I'm just going to stay here for now to do it. I can then open up and manage the information on my profile. So over on the left, I have posts that I make, and I put a lot of posts out. So it's like putting, everything I put on LinkedIn or everything that I put on Facebook also goes to my Google profile. So this all shows up on the right-hand panel. Let's say I'm looking for my business on Google. And over in this panel that appears with the information about my business, you can see, when I open, when I close, what my phone number is, how to contact me, all the reviews I've had so far, a little bit of a blurb about what the business does, and then the posts that I've been putting on there. And these posts, even though they get seen by a hell of a lot of people, they do give you the chance to add more information about your business, so that then they have more information about your business in there. So the more information that the big G, the big Google has about your business, the more they can easily rank you on Google for what you do. So the more they know, the better it is for you. So that's the result of having a Google business profile. So you look for yourself on Google and you get this panel here. This is where you're going to start to manage everything. You can edit your profile. You can put an ad in there. So start advertising a really basic ad. Look at the customers that have been communicating with you. Add photos, get more reviews by sharing a link through to your customers. You can do posts. Learn more about your profile by learning what things you can adjust in there, create offers that then are shared out, and even turn on chat so that people can contact you through this profile. So they can actually reach out to you. You get a message on a Google business app that then you can answer back on. That's all free stuff. So Google does give you a lot of tools to get you started. And I think where they really do that well is through this Google business product. It allows you then to look at basics. Like I can see this 567 views of this particular, of my process, of my profile this month. So it's telling me that through there, I've had people interacting with my profile. Sort of dived in April, but I had a lot of interactions back in November. What the calls that have come from my business profile that have come through to my phone, how many times people have sent me messages, whether I've had bookings made through there, the directions that people have asked to go and find me. 198 direction requests were made for people to come to my office. That's pretty impressive over that period of time. And then how many people have clicked to my website from that profile. So I can see what that performance is over time. So I understand more about what I need to spend time doing on Google to make it work better for me. So that's the Google stuff. We go further now into looking at some of the things that help us to be present on social media. Now, social media is like a bit of a controversial one. Not all of us love social media. Not all of us want to work on social media. And to be honest, it can be a massive time sink being on social media. But in realistic terms for business at the moment, there's really only 3 social media networks that are particularly friendly to business and are good for people to be making bookings for services or shopping online. Facebook, because it's the biggest dog in the room. So it's the one where everybody is, and people spend a lot of their leisure time on Facebook. Rumors of Facebook's demise are very, very underrated. Like they're nowhere near in demise. What they did is everyone says, oh, they lost 1 million people in Australia from last year. We had a lot of lockdowns last year, so people were using social media more. Now that they're able to go back to workplaces and see friends and get out of the house, people who normally wouldn't use social media, who were kind of forced to because they were locked away, are now not using it as much. That's all it is. It's gone back to basically the same level it was in 2019, where it's saturation point. Well over 80% of people are on social media these days in Australia. So it's where people are. Instagram is that very beautiful face of your business. It's about expanding influence beyond just where you are. So Facebook's very much about people who are local, people you know, people you're connected with, customers you're likely to come across. Instagram is about spreading your voice further across the world. So if you've got a fashion business, you're selling shirts, t-shirts, dresses, shoes, anything like that, your customers can be anywhere in the world, and Instagram connects you far better to that than Facebook would. Facebook, by its very nature, is about your world, your people, the people you are connected to. They may be across the world, but most of them are here, right here in Australia and within your local town. LinkedIn, on the other hand, is if you're selling to businesses like I do, I'm active more on LinkedIn than anything else. LinkedIn is my home. It's where I spend most of my time every day for one reason, really, because I am a business selling to businesses. And that's where businesses are. That's where people go to interact with businesses. It's where people go to promote their businesses to other businesses. And it's where we talk about business-oriented stuff. I put up my webinars like this one on there. I put on daily tips every day on how to get the most out of social media. So that's where I'm going to be. So being present on social media doesn't mean being present on everything. We can't be Gary Vaynerchuk, if you know who that guy is, because he's got a team of 60 people working on his social media. He has 100 posts a day going out to every single social media account because he has 60 people working on it. You can't be him. All you can be is you. You've got the time you have. So you concentrate on where your customer is likely to be. I concentrate on LinkedIn, and then I copy those posts across to Twitter, Facebook, Google Business, and to kind of think of the other places I share it to, but also other Facebook business accounts that I do have. I don't do lots of different things for different channels. The only ones I really do a little bit different for is Instagram and TikTok. They're the places where I do something a little bit different because they're areas I'm sort of experimenting in and trying to expand into more globally than just being within Australia. So you've got to make a decision where your people are likely to be. If you're selling to consumers, Facebook and Instagram. If you're selling to businesses, it's more likely to be related to LinkedIn and maybe even Twitter. But very few people in Australia use Twitter in any sort of way, shape, or form that's beyond, occasional curiosity about what Donald Trump used to be doing or what Elon Musk now is doing now that he's bought the social network. So we'll see how that changes and evolves over time. You do need to be present on social media these days, unfortunately, even if it's just as social proof. I've been working with a lot of businesses lately who just say, I don't need to be a superstar on social media. I just need people to be able to see me and back up and verify that I do what I say I do by seeing what I post on social media. That's a great way to look at it. You're never going to go viral for what you do as a business because, let's face it, most of the things we do in business to the rest of the world are boring as batshit, right? It's really the interesting stuff on social media is very, very good looking people, celebrities, Kim Kardashian, anyone who's doing very exciting, very dynamic stuff, very entertaining stuff, but they're not trying to sell what you're trying to sell. So you can use social media rather than as a promotional place to reach the world. You use it as a place for people who you are otherwise getting engaged with as a great way to be able to drag people in. And we all think our businesses are ultimately so interesting and our product is so interesting. And it is. Like what I do, I love what I do, but 99% of the world couldn't give a damn about what I do. But that 1% who do, I want to make sure I produce enough stuff that people understand what it is and know to look for me. So that's the bare basics. I would get yourself a Facebook business page, an Instagram business account, and a LinkedIn personal profile and company page to at least embed yourself in social media enough. Now, what to do once you're there is a whole other webinar for a whole other time. I don't really have enough time to cover exactly what you would do. But if we are looking at creating those social media presences, absolutely set up your Facebook business page, set up your Instagram business profile, set up your LinkedIn personal profile and company page. Most of your interaction on LinkedIn will be through your personal profile anyway. But as it's a business platform, you'll be approaching it in a way that really is, it actually is representing your business. So when I'm on there, I'm representing the work I do, not representing the things I do on the weekend in my own personal time, even though that tends to be work as well. Now, this is an interesting part of this webinar, which is going to probably, this tended to, when I last did this, it took up the most time. We don't have the most time left, but in this time, I want to introduce you to Hubspot. Now, Hubspot is a customer relationship management system. It allows you to track your customers, work with your customers, be able to put notes against customers so that so you don't miss things. It's a way of organizing all that information in your business and your customers and your sales pipelines into something understandable. So, a sip of my water. Now, HubSpot allows you to, as a free tool, to build a list of your customers and the records of them, and it integrates with just about everything. So for instance, what it works really well with is Google Calendar. If you've got a Google Calendar or a Google Workspace account for your calendar, it allows you to do things like accept meetings through there, and it syncs with your calendar to make sure you're not doubling up. So if you're using something like Calendly or Intuit meetings or Microsoft bookings, you don't need that because you can just use HubSpot to do it for you. If you're using MailChimp or MailerLite or one of those email systems or even ActiveCampaign, you don't need that. You can use HubSpot's email. They've got the basic level of it free for you to be able to organize your lists and then your segments of lists and build a newsletter within there that you can send out. So it's a great tool for that. That's how I do all my newsletters. It's also great for setting up landing pages, for creating forms that you can embed into your website and collecting people as they're coming in as leads. I find that this as an early system to organize yourself and your sales process is an excellent tool to do that. And at the level of the free level, you're limited with the amount of email addresses and contacts you can have in there. So if you're looking to create a 10,000 person email list, you're going to have to pay for it. Right, I've got a 800 list at the moment, and in the level I'm paying, which is about $80 a month for all the functionality, so I'm paying for a bundle, I'm still getting about 2,000 in there. So there's I think it's actually more than that, because I've actually got another one where there's 900 people in it, and it caps out at 1,000. So that's the free one. It's actually 1,000 customers, not 500. So 1,000 leads you can have in there. What you do to manage that is you just get your dead leads and kick them out of your database. Just delete them. You don't need them anymore. That keeps you within the free model. So we're going to take a look inside what HubSpot looks like. Now I'm going to take you inside my HubSpot. So my one's over here. So we go directly into my contacts. So I've got tons and tons and tons of them. The reason why I've got tons and tons and tons of them is because if I go into my email, so let's just go into my Gmail account over here, bring it over towards here. So I go into here and I can see that I've actually plugged in HubSpot to it. So I've got a HubSpot plugin here. So I go to compose an email, let's just say to whoever I want to. I've got an orange button down the bottom here. What that means is that every time I email this person, it's then going to put in a record to the database for that person that I've actually talked to them. So let's just say I'm going to send it off to Sylvia, my friend Sylvia, who I do a lot of work with for an ad agency. And when I do this, it's going to place that in there. Now, if I look at that too, then here's a message from which has already been done. This one, if I see this here, I can actually see all the records of my conversations with her. So I can see over here that on the side, I can go, okay, she's already in there. So I can open up, I can see that about her, all her contact details. I can see that there's been a timeline of contacts I've had with her. So I can see all the history I've had, including then any notes I might have said or any deals or tasks I've got against her email at the moment. And I can go into HubSpot, open up her full record that I've got in here of every single little bit I've had to do with her, every email we've ever shared. It also shows me when she's opened those emails. So when I send an email out at 10:59 a.m. on the 24th of April, and at 4:34 p.m. she opened it. So I can see that there's different, like when she opens those up. And I've also got the HubSpot app on my phone, which is a free part of this system as well. And it tells me on my phone when someone has opened an email. So whether that email is in the right now, or whether that email is in the deep dark past. Like this morning, I got a notification on there saying that I have someone opened an email which I sent them 6 months ago, and I'm like, that person's thinking about me. It might be a good time for me to reach out with a quick, hey, how you going? Was thinking we never really got across the line last time. Do you want to book in a meeting? And of course, the response back from them was, oh my God, you must be like psychic. You totally like, I was actually thinking about you this morning. And it just becomes a really good customer experience for them because you're just seeing that they've actually expressed an interest in you once again. And they don't know that you necessarily have tracked that. Might be a little creepy for some people, but for me, I do it in a sensible way, which I go, hey, I was just thinking about this morning. We hadn't caught up for a while. Do you want to grab a coffee? They're like, oh yeah, I was actually thinking about you this morning. I was like, yeah, I know, because I saw you open the email. So it's a really good tool for that. And that is a free part of HubSpot. You can join the conversations, so you can have conversations in here. So for instance, I've been talking with Deirdre, Kirsten, Matthew, Stewie. We've been having some conversations through Facebook Messenger. This is now a record of my Facebook Messenger conversations. Deirdre is not just in my Facebook now, but I've now got a record of her in my database, so that if I ever get a call from Deirdre, I can immediately go in and look for her and see all the conversations I've ever had with her before. So it's an amazing way of being able to provide a better level of customer service to people without you necessarily having to keep diaries and notes everywhere. You just do this. Every time you email them, they email you, it goes into this database so you can actually search for it. Some other features include the ability to build email lists. So in here, I've got, for instance, a bunch of emails I've sent out. So last week I sent out one for my founders program from Startup Territory, which nearly 41% of people opened. So that's good news. I had a pretty good open rate on that, considering the average for emails these days is about 8%. 40 looks good. I've only got a small list though. It's only going to a certain amount of people. I can go into that email now and see more about it. I can see the email that I sent. So I can see what it looked like. I can see what the details of it are. I can see then the open rate of it and who those people were. So I had 28 people open it out of 92. I can then go into that list and see these are the people who opened it, and these are the things they clicked on when they got there. So these people who clicked on it, either converted through to be people who were going to join the program, or in this one, this person clicked on and Helen's on us with us now. So Helen, hello. It's nice to have you on board. Clicked on that link. So hopefully there's not too much of a peek inside her privacy, because I know she's on this particular webinar today. So it gives me that idea of being able to track all that stuff without having to use bloody MailChimp. MailChimp is so difficult to use. And this is a much more simple system. So I want to go and set up a new email. I just simply go, yep, I want to create an email. That email is going to be a regular one. It's going to be in a certain shape. It's going to be, here's a bunch of templates I can pick out that are all included as well. The basic ones probably will do the job for you. You create those, you put in the information you want, and then you select the list you want to send it to. It's not a really horrible, painful, it's not a painful thing to go through. I won't go too deep into these others because we need to wrap up, but you can set up forms. So I've got forms which I've set up and I've put them onto my websites. So I can then see on those submissions who's filled out those forms. This one was a registration for people in my program. This is the expressions of interest in the program. I can see who they were when they opened it up and what they clicked on as well. So it's a way of me being able to track everything together in one place. So at any one time, I can look at who's on my Clickstarter website, who's on my Startup Territory website, who is registering for my programs and my free webinars that are outside the Business Station model. And then there's going further into, you can create deals and tasks and create quotes even. You can actually use this as your quoting system to send to people. If you're using other things like Quotas, Quotient, or Zero as your quotes and you want a nicer one. Service is not an area I use. It's just about problem tickets. And I don't provide sort of an after-sales service model so much. And then you can pay extra to have sequences and workflows like things like ActiveCampaign. So these, without going too deeply into this, it's a free model that you can use. You can sign up at hubspot.com. I don't have an affiliate link with them yet. I'm getting one soon, so I don't get any sort of any extra from that, but it allows you to know a lot more about your business. The last thing I want to show you is supposed to be Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Drive. So what I'll do is tell you about them instead, because I've only got a couple of minutes to go. They're basically the way of you running your life. Google Calendar runs my life. Everything I do, everything I have goes in there. And when people book me through my various forms around the internet, it compares against what my available time is in Google Calendar, and then only inserts into times and days where I have availability. Trello is like a pinboard. It's a pinboard where you go, okay, the first thing I want to do is this pinboard for customer A, pinboard for customer B, pinboard for customer C, and you move things through a to-do, doing, done sequence. So you literally, like, you'd be moving a sticky note on a wall from to do to the doing column, and then from doing to done. And this allows you to attach documents, photos, checklists, all kinds of things that will store that in there. It is also a free system to a degree, but like, most small business will never ever use up the space that's needed for their work in that free system. I've been using it for nearly 10 years and still haven't exhausted the free option for it. So it's been running the workflow for my business for 10 years. And I've never felt the need to get anything more complicated, because it really does the work for me. And then your office productivity stuff is basically, if you've got a Gmail account, you've got Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Forms, and even Google Sites. So if you want to get into those things that are the bare minimum, the absolute bare minimum that are going to drive your business in these very early times and early years, you need to get the things that are going to be free and it's cheap and easy to be able to get. And they're simple to use most of the time, especially the Google tools are very simple to use. They may not grow forever with you, but they're there for you now at a time of your business where you need to save money. So I do recommend using any of those. As big as my business got when I had 30 staff, I still use exactly the same tools that I showed you today. I've got a few other tools I use for other things, being a digital agency. But in the case of the things that operate your business, give you a profile, give you social media access, get you on Google, and have a website attached to your business, those things can largely be done cheap or free. Now, if you want to do more of that sort of stuff, and you're on say the digital solutions program, $44 for 3 hours of working with myself or one of the other advisors will help you go a long way towards getting that set up. For my Darwin cohort, if you're in Darwin, you can access me through the Entrepreneurship Facilitators program as well. If you want to talk about any of those or get some advice on how they all work, please pop into my my Business Station email address. You can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active and very, very responsive on there. So please have a chat with me on LinkedIn as well, and we'll try and get that all fixed. Thank you so much. The recording will be sent to everyone who's attended via email, probably sometime sort of tomorrow. And I'll have this up on my YouTube account probably in about an hour's time. I'll actually know I'm going to dinner now, so it'll probably be more like 3 hours time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending some time on your businesses out of your busy days. And I really hope that you take advantage of those systems that are out there and the help offered through programs like this one. Thank you and good night.